Unpack your knives and stay. Yes, stay. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Top Chef RHAP. I am Haley Strong. I am here with my flight of friends. Hi, Kurt Clark.
Hi. Love me a flight. Flights of sliders, flights of beer, flights
Sign
of
me up.
wings. I've
When
had flights of wings before. That's a fun pun. Flights of
when
wings. But
when Kristen was like, "Who likes a wine flight?" Me and Ethan went, "We do." Jim, hello. What's up?
Not too much. I'm doing well. I talk about a great episode. Oh, hey, can I make one correction from last week really quickly?
as long as it's correcting me.
No, it's correcting me. On last week's show, I definitely said that Padma Show airs on Fox, which is a giant mistake. It airs on CBS immediately after Survivor, which is the reason why I've been watching it, is because it airs immediately after Survivor. So it's actually CBS who paid a bunch of money for the commercial for Padma Show during the first commercial break on CBS.
But so interesting because they're really just not aligned whatsoever.
No, just competitors. I mean, I really do wonder, maybe they charge CBS some extra coin just to be like, okay, you want to advertise over here? We're just going to cost you a little extra,
Not a
I've
bad
only
idea.
seen the first two episodes. I've enjoyed it. Of Padma Show.
I'll tell you the thing that I really like about it. Oh, go ahead. I think that
no, that was it.
There's no real short. Like, at least we haven't. It seems like all the cook times are an hour, which means that the chefs really have a chance to make a good quality dish. Which these 30-minute quickfire is, like all of the sort of like 15-minute challenges. Those are so hard. But this one, it seems like they're giving them time to let them cook. And it's coming out with better results, I think.
You know what? Let's just talk about this other show that Haley hasn't watched.
Sorry, Haley. You should be watching it. You should be watching it.
I know it. I should be watching it. I've been in a really weird TV mood, I'd say, for maybe like the last 6 months or so of just I don't want to watch anything. Nothing. Nothing. I don't want to watch it. Baseball's back and I'm glad for it because that just takes up hours upon hours of time to fill my brain with mush. I just even Survivor the last couple seasons. I haven't watched Survivor once on a Wednesday night this season. I will say Top Chef, I am excited to watch every week. But there's just so many shows where I'm just I don't know. I'm broke. I'm broken.
I tell you, I gotta go ahead, Kirk.
No, I keep finding myself in this perpetual loop of finding shows that are leaving Netflix soon, and I've got 3 weeks to watch 5 seasons of something.
Yeah.
And so currently I'm in the middle of binging Black Sails from AMC or Stars.
That's a great show.
Stars. Yeah. And then this honestly love Top Chef, but the shift to Monday really screwed things over with my schedule and my attention span and my energy levels.
I think that's fair. It works better with our schedule of trying to figure out a day to podcast. I love that we can just inside baseball just do Tuesday nights. Yeah. But it is a little hard because I have to watch the episode basically. Oh. Again, this is getting way too in the weeds, but I go to the gym on Tuesdays after work because I go into the office on Wednesdays. So I have to be go to the gym on Tuesdays so I can wash my hair. So I don't have to wash my hair on Wednesdays. But then we podcast at 8. So I have to watch the show and make sure in between 6:30 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it does feel less of I'm sitting down to watch my beloved Top Chef. It's I got to make sure I get Top Chef in.
Yeah, the fact it doesn't start Eastern time until it goes from 9:30 to 10:45. And
that's not that doesn't exist for me. That's not a start time for me.
Well, no, because last night I kept okay, it's 8:05. I can start watching it because I type out all the dishes. So that is that gets me finished on time because I'll pause it frequently. And then I turn it's not recording. What's up? It's oh, it must be 9 o'clock. So I tune in at 9 o'clock. Still nothing. I finally see, it's 9:30, and I'm gonna learn this time, but I ended up I watched through the Quickfire yesterday, and then I watched the Elimination Challenge today. I was just too spent yesterday.
9:30 is a crazy start time.
It is, and an hour and 15 still.
Yeah. Not so bad for Jim, who's in Central Time.
It's not nearly that bad for me, but yeah.
Honestly, I must rule to start Survivor at 7.
7.
I would love that. I really love the challenges this episode. Both challenges I was very excited by. And I think the results I was excited by too. Our Quickfire challenge, as a team of 3, create a food flight to pair with Josh wines. Everybody had to get a full knife, a white, a rosé, and a red, and then they had to configure their teams based on that, and then they had to pick their wines based on that. We know how I feel about Josh wines. We love wine.
We love Josh Wiggler. Josh Wines.
I mean, like, you know what, Top Chef, get those paychecks. Get the paychecks.
Full transparency. I am not a wine person. You could hand me, a box wine, a Josh wine, a box of Josh wine. I no hablo wine. It's not something I enjoy drinking. So I will be deferring to the two of you for any wine notes that accompany it. I do like a Riesling. I like a Riesling and a Moscato. So I like sweet dessert wines. But that's like, I can like chug a bottle. I mean, it's by no means refined.
May I recommend to you a Gewürztraminer?
Good, so nice.
There's another one of those. Lambruscos are a wine that people crap on all the time because they were trash forever. But there are some awesome ones that are still cheap and delicious and a lot of fun. But my biggest problem with this is that I know they've got to get their paycheck. And I did check to see if Josh sold any sort of nicer versions of wine, and they don't really. They have a Napa Cab, which I've never heard of, but they have a lot of wines that are probably worse than Josh. And so it's hard for me to imagine, like, anyone who knows anything about wine is going to look at this challenge and be like, these poor chefs, if they know anything about wine, which I think a lot of them do, Josh would never appear in their restaurants. They would never serve it. They would never. And now they're expected to do like a wine pairing flight with wine, which is,
that's exactly how I feel about it. I am somebody who I love a $10 bottle of wine. I love a $50 bottle of wine. I love a $100 bottle of wine. I love, there is a place for all of that. My thing is with this particular brand is it's known for being the cheap wine at the party, and you bring as a host gift and they go, thank you. And having the top chefs of the country pair with these wines, it just feels like a real slap in the face. I don't know. It just I don't mean to be on a high horse about it. And if you drink Josh, I'm not slamming you. I drink some bad wines often, but it is just this is a show about the elite chefs of the country, and it's pair your beautiful Michelin star dishes with Josh. Last year when I went to Restaurant Wars, I was being served these beautiful dishes, incredible quality, blah blah blah, and then knocking back a glass of Josh Rosé.
I think I also got this wrong last week. It used to be the Terlato family of wines, and Terlato, and wine has changed hands so many times. People buy these portfolios, and the vineyards switch hands more often than you could know. But for a long time, the Terlato family of wines included things like Gaia, which is one of the most famous wines in the world, and a $400 bottle at a restaurant. And so, and they have many levels in between. But Josh has Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio, and they have I think maybe they're also connected to the Prisoner wines. And so these are wines that are just over sugared, entry level, poorly made, slightly above swill. But maybe if you're looking for a way to get into wine, maybe something like this is a decent option. But like Haley says, you can go and find an awesome bottle of, you can still find an awesome bottle of French wine for under $20 that will blow the socks off Josh. I don't know how much Josh costs, but I suspect it's probably in the $15 to $20 range in the grocery store. You're better off just to go to find a wine shop and ask somebody who works there, hey, what's a good affordable entry level wine that's going to pique my interest? And like you might find a nice a Côte d'Aron. You can still. I tasted a Côte d'Aron today that was like a wholesale for $12, and it was stellar. And so there are wines like that in the market that are available. And I know Top Chef has to get their money, but at the same time, this is just. It's almost like a slap in the face. I mean, that's really a good way to describe it, Haley. And
I don't want to I feel like such a snob about this one particular topic, but it is not necessarily like you should be drinking expensive wines. It's that Top Chef should be providing their chefs better wines if they are going to have these gourmet challenges. We have Oscar, Brittany, and Brandon together on the green team. I love that the way they were looking at pairings too. I'm somebody who I love a weird pairing. I love an unexpected pairing. I love a different lineup. When I'm at a tasting, they say, "Oh, taste from this to that." I like to mess it all up and see what happens. So I liked that some of them were a little bit of a different lineup. The green team did a seafood flight. Oscar with his rosé paired in arepa with Parmesan, creme fraiche, and caviar. Brittany with her Chardonnay did a seared scallop with plum sauce. Brandon with his Pinot Noir did a sourdough crusted grouper with dried fruit and nuts. I have to agree with the judges that the Chardonnay and rosé should have been switched. Not knowing the profile of the Chardonnay, but I would have to agree with that.
It's possible. When Tristan said it, I just kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, you just want to swap one bad thing for another bad thing. I will say it was nice to see. I thought Tristan did a great job in this episode.
Yes,
as
very much so.
The farm host and the Quickfire. I would like to see him a lot more on the television. I thought he was awesome on there. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's hard. I was really like, oh, really? You're just gonna say? I mean, plum and rosé, I guess, might make a little bit more sense, but also plum and I'm sure it's heavily oaked Chardonnay. That to me also makes sense, especially if there's high acid in the plum. That's usually a good pair with oaked wines, especially California style Chardonnay. But still, I just think that I think he was trying to get in sort of somebody should have switched to the wines comment more so than it actually making a huge difference.
And I don't know how I feel. I'm not a red wine drinker either. I don't know how I feel about Pinot Noir and grouper. Like, is grouper kind of like a more of a heartier fish? Like, I have a hard time. Okay, and then Pinot Noir is a bit on the heavier side. So this feels like a little bit of an unbalanced match to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like the Pinot Noir is almost certainly lighter than their other red wine options. There was for sure a Cabernet in there. And so Pinot is probably definitely lighter than the Cabernet. They're both probably over sugared. And if I was him, I probably would have served that Pinot Noir ice cold to dumb down the Josh flavors. And it would probably work okay with the fish. That's honestly, I was thinking, what would I do? As I would serve the red wine ice cold to remove the badness from it, because wine, the colder wine is, the more closed the flavors are. So like I might even have served it in a cube of ice to keep it like frigid, intentionally.
I would have thrown it in the blast chiller. I would have blended it. It would have been a like not a frosé, but a Pinot Noir. I don't know. But I got like, come on,
your Pinot Noir?
My Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir really got me.
I don't even know. Like, I don't even understand the concept of pairing. Like, in terms of like, doesn't anything go with anything? Like,
you want like weights to go together. You want flavor profiles to go together. So like Chardonnay is an interesting one because you can get so many different kinds. Like Jim was saying, if you get like a really oaky Chardonnay, you want that with something kind of like buttery, like creamy almost. If you have like a unoaked Chardonnay, so Ontario does a lot of unoaked Chardonnays, so it's just like a bit more of like an acidic note to it. So that also, it goes even better with a cream dish or seafood or anything like that. Chardonnay with like a Parmesan, I like the idea of that because you're kind of like balancing out those buttery and salty. A rosé, again, rosés are tough because it depends like what grape the wine is and how much skin contact the rosés had. But I find
I bet there's a serious chance that Josh is cheating the rosé. Like it could. I suspect there's a good possibility of that as well. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. And like for those who don't know how a rosé is made, it is like oftentimes using a red wine grape, but where red wine is fermented on the skins, a rosé will often only have an hour or two on the skins, depending. So if you get like a really light rosé, it's probably only spent an hour on the skins. If you have like kind of like a rosier, pinker one, that's spent maybe a couple hours. So depending on that, like you want your light bright Chardonnay or light bright rosés with kind of like your seafood, and if you have like kind of like a longer skin contact Chardonnay, like I like those with, because I don't drink red, I like those with like a heartier meat dish or stew or something like that.
What kind of straw should I be using for my wine?
Curly all times, because it's a lot more aeration.
Yes, that's what I go back and forth between that and a sippy cup. I don't know where exactly I should fall, but
it depends. It depends if you want to put ice in your wine. You put that in the sippy cup, but the reds you really should have like through a crazy straw, so you get as much aeration as possible.
Sweet.
Jonathan, Duen, and Anthony are the red team. They had the Tome cheese flight. I've never heard of this cheese, so I can't wait to hear more about it. They had a Tome grilled cheese with raspberry and apricot compote to pair with their rosé. Roasted and fried sunchokes with Tome cheese sauce with the Chardonnay. Wait, what did I say? I said it right? Chardonnay.
Which?
With the Merlot, they had a mushroom toast with seared ribeye, tome, and sous vide. I love the look of this whole flight.
Give me the grilled cheese.
This sounded great. I love a mushroom toast. I have no complaints here. Jim, can you tell me more about this cheese?
Yeah, Tome is a cheese. It's an awesome cheese. They usually come in small wheels, and they're usually cow's milk. I think sometimes they might be some sheep's milk involved, but I think they're mostly cow's milk. But they come from the French Alps in these small wheels, and they're not like a triple cream. They're a little bit more firm than a triple cream, but they're still on the softish side. So it is good for melting. It is hard enough if it's cold enough that you can grate it. So it kind of falls in the middle there. And actually, from another probably the most famous area where Tome comes from is Savoie, which is also famous for their own little a very specific type of white wine made from Jacquard. So the Tome is a good ingredient. And when you're thinking about pairing and flights, there's a couple ways you can do it. Like one is featuring one ingredient, and that's often what we do at the restaurant. And say, for instance, we get ramps on the menu. So the tasting menu will be a celebration of ramps. And so every course, usually except for dessert, unless it's something I can work into a dessert course, but usually every course will feature that and do it paired with different things. And then the wines coincide with that sort of tasting. And so the teams that picked a good through line, like eggs was a smart way to go. And then also cheese. And so the two of these groups picked one ingredient to showcase in three different ways, whereas the third team picked three different individual versions of the same thing. And I thought that, this might look good. That's what Tome is. Tome is a great cheese and a fun one to work with.
It sounds incredible. The blue team was Justin, Jennifer, and Seeger. I liked seeing Justin and Jennifer work together. This was cute. I liked Seeger.
Gotta let the knees breathe.
Justin's niece had more confessionals this episode than like some of the actual people on this show, and I'm fine with it. Let the getaway sticks breathe. Am I right? Seeger, this was Seeger's breakthrough episode. He was fabulous. We got some background story from him. I enjoy him. They did an egg flight. I thought this was crazy. Never in 5 billion years would I put eggs with wine, but I guess I'm just not thinking outside the box enough. They also had one of the more interesting, oh God, I can't remember the word for it, but like, when you go along the line.
The flights, the order of the flight.
Like progression. They had a different progression.
That's true. Yeah. That's I didn't know how the judges were going to react to, because usually I think of a flight as, usually a flight is something that I'm drinking. But beyond that, like the flights of food I've gotten have all been kind of, I guess, the same course. They've all felt appetizer-y, or it's been like an entree in 3 stages. I didn't know which way the judges were going to go, that the last part of the flight was like the dessert. It was almost a combination between a flight and a progressive dinner or meal. So I thought that was interesting.
Which I loved. I love when we have just kind of like that connection throughout. Justin had the rosé, and he made a braised artichoke with poached quail egg and rosé mayonnaise. Jennifer had a cab sauve with soft scrambled eggs with roasted grape verjus and croutons. And Seeger had a Pinot Grigio with poached peaches and sabayon. Who would have thought poached would get me this episode? They did a great job with this. What was I going to ask you, Jim? Why is artichokes hard to pair with wine?
There's a compound in the artichoke. I think it's called like chinolin, or I don't know how to say it. There's a compound in artichokes that just it interacts with wine in a bad way, especially if the wine has a little bit of weight to it or oak. And really what you're looking for is something that's like super dry, super crisp, unoaked. For me, I like to pair like a dry sherry with artichokes a lot of times, but that's really it. It's really, it has to do with the compound. But a lot of times, very, very oftentimes, a very super dry Sauvignon Blanc, Sancerre is a very common pairing with artichokes. And so there are, it's not like it's super hard. You just have to know what you're doing, because you might think, that, oh, this oaked white wine would be a good pair with it, but really they clash when you taste them together.
That is very interesting. That makes sense.
I think also that the Pinot Grigio at the end with dessert is also probably a really smart choice, because I suspect that Pinot Grigio is loaded with sugar and probably almost drinks like a dessert wine, because Pinot Grigio is something that awesome. Pinot Grigio is great, but Pinot Grigio has become the thing that people order when they don't know what they're ordering, just because they saw a commercial, or it rolls off the tongue easily.
Or they heard the line, "I don't know what I did to you, but I'll take a glass of Pinot Grigio," from Vanderpump Rules. They just want to say that. No, you're right. When I see a Pinot Grigio, that to me is like an appetizer wine, or like a before I go into the restaurant wine. So seeing it as like a dessert course pair is interesting. You would normally see a dessert wine here, like a port, or if you're Canadian, an ice wine. But that makes total sense that this is probably a very sugared Pinot Grigio. Yeah. Rhoda, Sherry, and Lawrence, our cream team, they were making a mochi flight. Rhoda had the Sauve Blanc. Rhoda had the Sauve Blanc with the sauteed mushroom mochi. Sherry had the rosé with the potato and a Bortarga mochi with creme fraiche, and Lawrence had the Merlot with lamb, cherry, and parsley mochi. I think Lawrence was like, I was very successful in my bow flight last week. Let's roll it back and do mochi, even though they said Rhoda. It was Rhoda's idea. I feel like Lawrence was pushing it too, but maybe I'm misremembering. I think this was obviously a great idea in theory, but it was not in execution. It was just too fiddly of a dish to do in this amount of time. I understand what they were doing, where it was just like the same thing but just different each time. I've never seen a mochi that texture before.
I'd love kind of like a mochi roulette, or like surprise mochi, where it's
Can you imagine?
Like, yeah, you just order it, and then it's like maybe the menu has a list of here's the 10 possibilities, but you get 3. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of them all looking ostensibly the same. It's what's inside that counts, just like the 3 of us. So that's it.
I just thought it was so a letdown in creativity when they were like, oh yeah, let's do mochi, since last time he did the steamed buns, and I was just disappointed. Like, as soon as they said it, I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. And also, when you know you don't have enough time to cook the dough first, why even try? And I think that really got them. And then I love mochi, and I ate a lot of mochi. Those things looked so weird coming out of the fryer. They did not. It looked totally unappetizing.
They looked like a macaroon, like a coconut macaroon.
Like a coconut macaroon. Yeah.
Yeah. Our blue team with Justin, Jennifer, and Seeger ended up being the winners of this, and they each get $5,000. I kind of like Jennifer and Justin pointing out, like, no, it'd be great if we won, because then we'd each get $5,000. We'd be bringing 10 grand home. They are such a weird couple, and I really like them together. We got a cute little scene of Jennifer cutting Justin's jeans to make them some jorts, and she's like, you know what, I like it. And he's just like, I can't have long pants in the kitchen. I can't do it.
Rock the 5-inch inseam. Oh yeah.
I think my husband pointed out, I can't remember if it was last episode or the episode before, of like, before it was a storyline of like, is Justin wearing very short shorts? And yeah, he was indeed.
Yeah. I did. Also, I think this is the first time I picked up on it. I don't know if they mentioned the first couple episodes that Seeger has worked with them before, which I thought was also interesting. So also probably contributing to some extent to their success, the fact that they're comfortable with each other in the kitchen.
Yeah, they had a fun chemistry, the three of them.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, I should have looked this up. Jim, do you remember the name of the chef that then came into the kitchen with his table of sides?
Oh, no, I don't. I don't have it written down in front of me.
I'm so sorry. He was great and fabulous. Get him on TV for some more for me too. We have a whole table of Southern side dishes. And the challenge was take one of these side dishes and make it into a main while kind of keeping the spirit of the dish. And they were going to go on a field trip to a farm and kind of learn more about these ingredients. Oh God, I love this. This is exactly what I want from Top Chef.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This made me want to try each of the different kind of sides there. I've had a couple of them, but I've really wanted to try the smothered cabbage, like in terms of the way that they were all talking about how great it was. So I feel like I missed out a little bit on that, but most of the others I have had in one form or another.
We serve basically everything that was on that table in a variety of ways at the restaurant. So this is really a good episode. If y'all have any questions about any of this stuff, like I really do serve every bit of this. Now, I will say that his version of the smothered cabbage, I wasn't exactly sure. I mean, it looked to me like there was definitely pork in that sauce, but it also looked kind of like a creamy sauce. So I really wasn't exactly sure what was going on in that dish, but it looked great.
It looked great.
So some of the dishes we took a deeper dive into in the challenge were the potato salad, the hoppin' johns, collard greens, smothered cabbage, hoecakes, red rice, and if you can believe it, fried okra. Our friend Seeger was like, "Oh, Tom, you hate fried okra? I'm going to change your mind."
And not just that, he had a different dish picked out.
He did. I can't believe it.
The fried okra looked lonely. And so I don't remember what he had. I don't know if he had the red rice, and then he swapped it for fried okra, but good on him. It worked out for him.
I was very excited about this. I didn't quite understand what the framework of the challenge was. They had 90 minutes to create the dish and then an additional 90 minutes to serve everybody else in the restaurant. Is that what was happening?
I think that once you get your timed dishes to the judges, then there's a little bit. I think that it's not like you have to make sure that the rest of your 40 dishes are done in time. You're just serving the guests that are there. And they probably want you to do it in order. Like they probably would at some point kick you out of the kitchen, and you probably would get in trouble if maybe you're backing up the line. But for the most part, after you get those judges dishes in, it's kind of chill, but you do still have to get the dishes done.
One question I had, Jim, is something I hadn't considered previously. Is it seems like every week they're cooking in a different kitchen. How difficult is it to adapt to a different elimination challenge kitchen most weeks?
It's hard. It's definitely hard because you lose a lot of time looking for stuff, and that they before the challenge they'll walk you through the kitchen, but it will be just sort of like okay, here's the range, and so it's very limited. But when you're in the heat of the moment and people are moving stuff around, you may have noticed where the strainer was at one point before on your walkthrough. But if you're the third person to cook, maybe it's in the dish sink at that point. So it's a lot of, it's hard. It's definitely part of the challenge. and something you have to really think about.
The chef's name is Greg Collier, and he was
Yeah.
fantastic. I really enjoyed him.
I'm surprised I don't know him. I know, I don't know. I know most of the chefs that are in the South, especially one who's been nominated for 3 James Beard Awards. I'm surprised that I've never met him, or maybe we've done an event together sometime. And I just didn't place it correctly. But yeah, he was awesome.
And their restaurant was stunning. Like I loved it. I loved, like, we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago with the pepper challenge, how much I hated like that specific like dining space. I think this was like simplicity done very beautifully and like intentionally. Oh gosh, what fun we have. We start off the meal with Sherry and Justin. They both have potato salad. Sherry made a marble potato salad with smoked trout, potato chip, and potato nage. We got a lot from Sherry this episode. I was a little concerned for her. We got her son going off to boot camp. We got a lot of backstory from her. I was very nervous. But she had a slam dunk with this dish. I will say, I don't want my potato to be foamed. I don't want that. I'm sorry, I don't want that. I love the thought process behind this dish of till you use every part of the potato. I don't want my potato foamed. Like, at no instance do I want any of my foods foamed pretty well.
What do you have against foam?
Texture, just like
texture,
visual,
okay, yeah.
Visual texture.
I could have called that, yeah. Even just the name.
Or what? Gosh, what do they call it when it's like a really gross name?
Espuma.
Oh my god, I hate the word espuma.
Fufu espuma, I believe you mean.
That was tough for me personally. And Justin made a Yukon filled with potato salad, scallion cream, and potato chip. I liked where he was going with this dish. I think like his potato holder was too large. I think
it was kind of big.
Yeah,
it was chunky.
Yeah, it was. He could have, I don't know, made it nicer looking and maybe added like 3 strips of bacon to make it a main.
Yeah, it definitely. To me, I mean, they thought that her dish had sort of main course energy. I didn't really see that. I thought it looked like an awesome appetizer to me, but I thought she did a great job with it. But compared to his, it was like kind of clunky, but also well made. I think that was a good dish to be safe with. I think ultimately there's no mistakes in his dish. It was executed pretty well. We thought maybe he was going to overcook the potato, but at the same time, it was missing some real oomph, some bang, something to make it interesting to get at the top, and maybe some protein or something to make it seem more like a main course.
Yeah, I think this is also where it just kind of became cemented in my mind, like the 2 big pitfalls that people could potentially fall in here. One, does it feel like a main course versus like just another, still a side, still an app? And then 2, I think the thing that was back of my mind first, which we didn't really get to until I think a little bit later, was, is it still like, are the elements of the side still kind of the star? Like, again, it's like you don't want to make the potato salad be the also ran in the entree that you're making. It's like we hear this repeatedly in challenges. You want to make sure that X is the star of the dish, or that you can tell that this is a either elevated or reimagined version of something that's still at the core of it and what it's all about.
Oscar and Lawrence, my favorite duo of the season. I love them so much. I love Oscar. What a thrill he is to have on my TV screen. They both had the Hoppin' Johns, and they made me giggle because Oscar made Hoppin' Juan with beans with crispy bacon sofrito, Carolina gold rice, and poached egg. And Lawrence made Hoppin' Huang with crispy rice, charred shiitakes, butter beans, and cured yolk. This is what I love about food is like they both took inspiration from the same dish, looked to their backgrounds, and made something so cool and lovely and really like them. And it was basically the same base ingredients. And I just had a nice time with this team.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of there's a restaurant in the Cosmopolitan in Vegas called China Poblano, where there's a Mexican kitchen and an Asian kitchen, and most of it is separate menus, but there are a few items on the menu that come together. I thought this reminded me of, in terms of just like a nice, I'd love to see some like concept born out of this, where like if there had been 3 people having to do hoppin', like it would have been great if there could have been like keep that theme or that consistency throughout. But
let this be their restaurant wars team.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is like, how can this? I'm hoping we see more pairings of the 2 of them together, so that they can do more of these things that kind of riff off each other. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, they were awesome, and these dishes looked so amazing, both of them. And you even hear Tristan mention at the beginning, before the challenge, that so many cultures have a version of rice and beans because they're such staple ingredients around the world, and that's what makes them a humble ingredient and used so often. I'll tell you the history. There's a little bit of history of Hoppin' John's. A lot of people don't exactly know where the origin comes from, and there's a little bit of maybe some opposition on different sides on where the origin comes from, but most people believe that it comes from pois pigeon, which is French with pigeon, which is the type of peas that's oftentimes used in Hoppin' John, and it is that's kind of the gully geechee kind of French interpretation of where that comes from. Some people say like some kids love it and so they jump. But I think that probably the actual is that more like that slang French term has just evolved over the years to Hoppin' John from where it started with pois pigeon, and it's a really great dish. And these versions of it looked stellar, just really stellar.
I was just so like blown away by both of them, especially Lawrence with like the crispy rice. It was so simple yet so ingenious to just take like basically a cookie cutter and cut out some rice and was like, everybody gets a crispy bit.
This is where I appreciate the commentary from the judges, because I think it's one of those things where if this had been served to me, I wouldn't have like given any thought to like the technical difficulty of what he did. And they acknowledged that, and they even like vocally acknowledged it to him, and so he actually got the chance to explain. There was like one of the puzzles, one of the challenges of making this dish was to figure out how to get that crispy layer. That's just one of the things I love about the show, is not just obviously what we see on the end, but the journey that you had to go through to get there.
Anthony and Brittany had the collard greens, and both of them broke my heart. Brittany up front broke my heart, and Anthony just kind of, it made me sad. Anthony made braised collards with chidon beni and kimchi with black bean and tasso ham fritter. Brittany made collard wrapped pork and fennel sausage with smoked tomato butter sauce. Anthony and Tristan have worked together. He was excited to see Tristan. And this dish just didn't come together, and I think he was very surprised to hear that. All of the judges agreed that the broth was very salty, and it just like wasn't a main dish, and I had to agree with them on that point. But it just made me so sad because Anthony was so excited, and I like Anthony.
He's the one that worked with Tristan previously, correct? Yeah. It was like he was expecting Tristan to be much tougher on, like to almost like to be a tougher judge for him, and I was really excited that he like was at least in one of the top groups in the Quickfire, I believe. Yeah, with his mushroom toast. And so I was like, okay, that's good. But then, I felt bad for both him and Tristan. Like, I can't imagine like having to deliver you're in the bottom sort of news to somebody that you have previously, worked with or know personally. But he pulled through, Anthony did.
I will also say in both of their defenses that the collard greens probably are the highest level of difficulty to work with in this scenario, just because they take so much time to clean and they take a really long time to cook. Now you can cook them in a bunch of different ways, and if they're small enough or you cut them thin enough, they can be eaten raw. But this is to try to cook both of them, or to try to like steam them initially, or to maybe she blanched them initially and was going to wrap the sausage in them. That after cleaning them all, that's a lot of work. And a tough time. This as far as time goes, the collards probably were the highest level of difficulty in this challenge.
I was wondering, given that they were both on the bottom with the same starter side, I was wondering if there's something about the collards that just kind of was going to be more likely to trip them up. So that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, and he had to cook them in the pressure cooker, which is a good idea, but he's loading so much salty meat in the pressure cooker. One thing about pressure cooker is you can't taste as you go, so you can't adjust the salt. Now you can add more at the end, and you definitely need to have some there in the beginning. But if you season it and then you add a bunch of salty pork into the dish, I think that's where his problem came. And I think it was Tristan who said at the judges table, I think that they just tasted them so much they blew out their palates on the salt level and didn't realize that it was salty. And it got to feel bad for him in that instance. And with the double whammy of the over-seasoned pot liquor plus the lack of main course energy, it sucks, but it sent him to the bottom.
And then Brittany, this was just Brittany has had a really tough run this entire Top Chef season. I think we're seeing a lot of people who are really talented chefs, but not necessarily thrive in a chef testant capacity. And like, we've been saying that for weeks now. And this sounds bad, but I'm almost glad to see Brittany go here, because it is just kind of like, okay, like this doesn't seem like a good place for you. I really loved hearing all the other chefs say like Tom being like, I came to your restaurant, it was incredible. And then Greg being like, she is one of the best chefs in the city. She is. So at least she got her accolades there. I think this was a bit of a failure of planning. She doesn't know the kitchen. She's doing like a complicated dish with like some interesting technique, and it turned out that her steamer wasn't on.
Yeah.
It made me want to puke with like how bad I felt for her, where you just saw in her face, like she had 16 minutes left. The fact that she got a fully composed dish on the plate that like looked decently nice is a true miracle. And she should be so extremely proud of herself for just like focusing in and being like, okay, let's just get it done. And congrats to this whole team for really like pulling for her on that too.
Yeah. Because was Brittany the one that kind of gave Justin some accolades for helping her out?
Yeah, he had some leftover potato. Yeah,
potato. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt so bad for her, but at the same time, you got to be checking the steamer. Like you want to keep
crazy. Like how do you make sure the steamer's on? You like put your hand and you go, oh, that's a little toasty, we're good to go, or what?
If you just crack open the door, some steam comes out. And if you open the door and nothing's happening, then you got to know. But they must have been in for probably like 20 minutes or so before she even realized it was, or maybe more than that. But yeah, without a window on the front of the steamer, without any sort of, some steamers may have like old school steamers kind of sometimes have a pump, or this looks like a modern one where you just sort of program it in how much steam you want for how long. And it is difficult to know. It's someone else's equipment, someone's kitchen, but that's even all the more reason that I would be opening it up like 3 times to make sure that the steam was actually working. But I felt so bad for it though.
Oh, it was awful. And then Tristan being like, you shouldn't admit. It's like, okay, but she didn't. I think she did the right thing. And maybe that's just because like I'm not good at embellishing. I don't embellish. Like Brittany didn't go up there and go, like my whole dish blew up in my face. She like said, this is what it is. And then I think Kristen was like, well, is this what you wanted to make? And she was like, no, this is what happened. And I feel like she didn't even make any excuses. I feel like in this moment, she didn't even say the steamer wasn't on, and she was just like, things didn't work out how I wanted, and like I needed to get a dish on the table.
It is one of the hardest things to try to figure out when you're on the show is if you make a mistake, do you own up to it, or do you keep it quiet until you sort of gauge what the judges are thinking about it? Because it is oftentimes good to fess up a mistake, like in a restaurant. But I think there's a way.
The judges know if you're bullshitting them.
Yeah,
like they know.
They know for sure. And the other part of it is that you could probably couch it in terms that maybe they end up really liking the dish at the end. And you don't know until they taste it, but you could have said, this isn't what I intended, but I had to pivot at the last minute. I'm proud that it was on the plate. Now that's a good way that just sort of both it admits that it didn't turn out the way you wanted it, but you're happy that something did happen. And so I think that she could have couched it in terms and just said of like, face palming, I screwed up, the thing wasn't on, I had to get help from Justin. I think that she was probably sitting there spilling the beans, which is also fine. It's also fine. I'll tell you, when I was called back for Last Chance Kitchen in Louisville, I served this dish to Tom, and I knew it was not what I wanted it to be, and it wasn't it. But at the same time, I just sort of bit my tongue. He didn't say a lot when he was tasting it. I mean, he asked me a couple of questions like, "Do you normally pair this cured fish with a soup like this?" And not exactly, but we do sort of similar things in the restaurant. But the one time I ran into Tom outside of where there were no cameras around, I apologized for serving him the dish, and he kind of laughed, and he said that he knew, and I just told him that I was embarrassed that I even served it in front of him, that I didn't say anything, and he said, he was very nice about it, but it was a good moment, and but I didn't really, because you don't know what to do. You don't know, should I say I screwed it up, or should I just hope somebody else screws up more and kind of stay quiet about it? And it's tough to know how to answer that situation.
Yeah, imagine also that, like, when is the time to defend or make apologies? Is like, do you wait till you're in the bottom and then acknowledge what you would have done differently without necessarily framing it up as I messed this up? Unless it's like, you still have your ring mold in the dish, that sort of thing. But
sometimes the judges will get mad sometimes you'll be punished if you don't realize it was a bad dish and you're still defending it, because that will sometimes get you in trouble too. Like, I think if you're standing there in the bottom three, you need to admit some mistakes in the dish.
Acknowledge you're in the bottom, but not until you're in the bottom.
Yeah.
Dwayne and Brandon had the smothered cabbage. Dwayne made charred cabbage with grits, confit tomatoes, and pickled corn. Brandon made charred cabbage with smoked bacon cream and Parmesan breadcrumbs. I would happily accept both of these in front of me. Oh, yeah. They look delicious.
The more the better.
The smothered cabbage has had a real sort of moment at restaurants across the country last cabbage season, and it was good to see these dishes. But it's got to be done. Almost everybody braises the cabbage and then covers it with the sauce. I think that was the problem with the undercooked cabbage dish.
Like Brandon's dish, tell me more about this smoked bacon cream, Brandon.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I'll take the glass.
I'll take it. Yes, with a straw, curly straw.
Curly straw. You need to aerate the bacon cream.
You need to aerate, yes. Yeah.
That did come out of the ISI gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan, oh my God. See, like, it gets late at night and I don't even know the words I'm saying. Jonathan and Jennifer, they had hoecakes. Jonathan made hoecake with gochujang, fried chicken, and bourbon, bacon maple syrup. And Jennifer made a yeasted hoecake with pot liquor, butter beans, triple cream, and hot honey. I love the look of both of these. I would be very happy with either of these. I love the kind of twist on fried chicken and waffles. It made like a fried chicken hoecake. I thought that was lovely. And I think Jennifer's looked incredible. I love that, like, she used triple cream brie as like the butter on top. Like, I thought that was brilliant. It just was a dish that didn't come together for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, I was concerned that Jonathan's dish was going to get this is less about the hoecake and more about the gochujang fried chicken, but it didn't really come up as much. But maybe that's because Jennifer's was just so salty.
Yeah, I loved watching him taste the chicken. He was so ecstatic with the way the chicken turned out during the prep time. Both of these dishes do look really well. And I don't, because these are all look very much like dishes that we serve. I'll tell you about this dish that we serve in the restaurant. We call it chef's breakfast because it's one of my favorite things to eat. And oftentimes it is what I will eat in the morning when I come before anybody else gets there. And I liked it so much, I just ended up putting it on the menu. And we have a difficulty. This is an example of, like, does the side dish have main course energy or not? But for our restaurant, we list it as a soup, and there's this constant discussion between is it really a soup? Is it brothy enough? Let's serve with pot liquor. But what we do is we take whatever kind of braised field peas are available. Right now we're doing butter beans, but also we'll do creamers. But then, and collard greens, the collard greens we cook up heavily meated, lots of acid and heat in them. We mix them together, and that becomes the pot liquor for the dish. And then we serve griddled cornbread on top of it, and we cover that in chives. And if it's truffle season, truffles become an option for that dish. But it is and you hear the chef say, "Oh, my wife would eat this as a main course," and so do I. Like that's something that I eat as a Southerner as a main course. It's a New Year's Day dish, very much like the Hoppin' John. This sort of peas and cornbread or beans and cornbread dish is a staple in Southern cuisine, and it's so awesome to see it on the show. And I thought that she did a great job putting it on the plate, and including those Indian flavors is a really smart idea, I think, as well. And it just sucks the salt. I mean, there's no way around it. If it's too salty, it's too salty. And maybe her bread was a little bit dense, and so some difficulties with the dish. But another great round of cool, interesting ideas for things that are like a side dish. I'm sorry, I'm ready. I just know so much about this food.
This is what Jim, I love this so much. This is what I want. Okay. I want you to tell me everything about every single thing. Because I came into this episode never hearing of a Hoppin' John before. Like I love the info. Seeger and Rhoda were our last team up. Seeger had the fried okra. He made braised okra with pork belly and seeded tempura. Rhoda chose the red rice and made red curry rice and fried egg. Very successful ending to the meal here.
Yeah, I'm surprised Seeger didn't try to make a fried okra dessert like he did with the flights. That would have been a horrible decision. But pork belly makes everything better. So good on him. I mean, not only making Tom enjoy the fried okra, but winning the freaking challenge.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. It was very smart. And actually, so watching him cook the okra gave me an idea that I'm going to deploy during the summer at some point, because I thought he was going to puree all that okra. That when it showed him cooking it, I was like, "Ooh, that would be perfect in a puree." And so that's going to be something I work with over the summer, is making an okra puree. I think an okra puree would also alleviate the slime, because then the slime becomes part of the thickening agent, like you would use it in gumbo. And so, yeah, I thought it was a great idea. It looked brilliant. The judges liked it. It was great that he found a creative way in which was different, yet still felt like a main course. The red rice too. I don't know if you know about red rice, but
no, I was going to ask you to tell me about red rice.
Red rice is another really more South Carolina, Sea Island, Gullah Geechee. I mean, that definitely goes up into North Carolina too. But at the same time, that's sort of the origins of the dish. And the dish is to me, very similar to jambalaya. It's made in very much a similar way, where in sort of where I live, you would get more of that Cajun spice and Cajun influence, especially in the meats you put in there, making sure that you have a good kind of Southern sausage, where the Carolinas version usually starts off with more bacon, and it may not use the Trinity like is used here in the sort of French Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama parts of the South. And so, but they are very similar dishes. And I saw that they were using the Carolina gold rice, which was I think they used the Carolina gold rice also, and maybe both the Hoppin' Johns, which is also very smart, because that rice is incredible by itself. But usually that red comes from tomatoes and seafood and whatever she put in it, but usually tomato. But it's good to think about it kind of like jambalaya, and they have very similar origins in the same kind of groups of people. They are often inspired by jollof rice because of that West African tradition, and that's really where both of these rice dishes come from and originate, and why they're so similar in a lot of ways.
We see Seeger, Lawrence, and Sherry in the top of this challenge, with Seeger taking the win. Jennifer, Anthony, and Brittany are in the bottom, with Brittany going home. And Jennifer's in a sling. Interesting. I think that's going to play out sooner rather than later, but we'll see. I'm sad to see Brittany go here, but I think it was time. I thought the ending of this episode is really interesting. It made me really believe. I was convinced she would come back from Last Chance Kitchen. Kurt, do you want to tell me about Last Chance Kitchen?
Spoiler alert. She doesn't. So it wasn't. They walk in the Last Chance kitchen, and there's a little table for two there. Tom's cooking away. Makes them a dish that he one of his. I think Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he said this was his first. He had started basically focusing on French cooking, and then had transitioned to started to include more Italian techniques or flavors.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, as longtime LCK watchers know, is they'll often put up a challenge that is directly related to what got someone recently eliminated. This is pretty straightforward. Is put yourself on a plate. It's really one plate that shows who you are as a chef. So Nana made a pan-seared salmon with tomato salad and curry sauce, whereas Brittany made a pan-seared halibut with grilled corn and tomato panzanella. It sounded like that they both cooked their protein really well in terms of that. Tom could not, make a choice based on that. So he had to kind of look at the kind of overall composition and flavor and, basically all the other aspects. And Nana ended up pulling out the win. Tom's comment about Brittany's panzanella was that she didn't it acted more as a crouton, whereas he would have liked to have seen it introduced to the dish a little bit sooner to soak up more of the liquid of the dish. That's kind of where the flavor can really come through. And so I think it sounds like it was the bread and the panzanella aspect of her dish that got her eliminated. But yeah, Nana advances, and it gets reiterated that this is a tougher Last Chance kitchen season. Only one person's coming back into the competition. They didn't acknowledge vocally when that was going to be. I was half expecting Nana to say only 5 more battles or something like that, but yeah, we still don't know. What did you think of the LCK, Jim?
I thought it was good. I thought it was half Tom cooking, which is great. And I will say too that I don't know if it was Top Chef's maybe Instagram feed or if it was Tom's, but he read out loud his first menu from a dinner he did at the James Beard house, and maybe this fish dish was on that as well. But yeah. It was really cool to see. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think that. Yeah, I wish they would let us know when the person's going to. Maybe they're going to run it all the way to the finale to give the last person voted out a second chance back in. But the panzanella is really. A few people have tried panzanella in front of Tom before and never really do well on the show. The thing about panzanella is you really need stale bread. It's one of those ingredients where it's one of those dishes where fresh bread, if you toast it hard, you get a crouton, which is gonna, when the crouton gets wet, it's gonna not really do what panzanella does. But you really want the panzanella to be like old bread that you then toast. It gives it more of a ability to absorb the liquid, the vinaigrette usually that's in part of the salad. But yeah, these two dishes looked well. They looked really good, and I was glad to see. I think Tom probably made the right choice. Nana seemed a more interesting dish and something that she was very proud of and good to get on the plate. And I thought it looked good. I'd like to see more Tom always in these Last Chance Kitchen episodes.
Yeah, this is where Tom tends to let loose a little bit in terms of sense of humor, dad jokes, things like that. So, although for some reason I thought previous seasons. I thought that Last Chance Kitchen was on Peacock, but I couldn't find it there, so I had to watch on Bravo TV.
It said it would be on Peacock.
Yeah,
I found it on Peacock today. I could not find it on Peacock yesterday. I was like, "What? Why can I not?" I just gave up yesterday because maybe it's the next day on Peacock.
Yeah. Well, no, I know I looked at 7 a.m. this morning, and it wasn't up yet. No. So I'll jump in there and take a look again. Luckily, I was able to watch on BravoTV.com, watch what happens. And yeah, so Nana advances. It definitely felt, and I think I had said this last week, it definitely felt like Last Chance Kitchen is giving her a chance to kind of gather herself. And so you're not going from 0 to 60 in the competition. She's now back down to 15 and slowly accelerating through Last Chance Kitchen so she can more hit the ground running if she was to go back into the competition. So This may be an instance of Last Chance Kitchen is where she thrives, and kind of figures out how to adjust her approach within the main competition. I was very scared that she was going to like run out of time again, but they seemed to be keeping close tabs on the time, so they didn't seem like that was an issue, which was good. Yeah, it's LCK, Haley.
Excellent. Kurt, what did you eat this week?
Ooh, had some swings and misses. I've not had pizza in a while, so went to a local pizza place. I got their Philly cheesesteak pizza, which was not great. Like to the point where I've got half the pizza in my fridge and I'm thinking about just throwing it out. Like it doesn't even like feel good when I'm done eating it. And I got like jalapeno popper breadstick. So it's like a jalapeno and cream cheese base on the breadstick, and that was okay. But I know you saw it on Instagram. I cooked today. Double tapped it. The pear and walnut stuffed chicken breast. It was pretty good. I'd never thought about shaving a pear on a cheese grater. And then you get the pear shavings and walnuts and cream cheese and mix it all together, and then you pound the chicken breast flat so it's like more like a thin cutlet, and then you put the stuff on there and fold it over, and you cook it for like 3 minutes on a side in the pan, and you bake it in the oven. It came with mashed potatoes. The only thing, and you can probably see it in the photo, Haley, the cheddar cream sauce was not that creamy. It was more like the consistency of a taffy. Like I would like. I see it. It looks like peanut butter. Yes, I took like the spoon in to get it out of the pan, and I think almost all of the sauce came out of the spoon, just kind of like glooping. It tasted good. It does not look amazing. And the thing that threw me the most about the dish was the instructions were, I thought it was like all good, and I'm putting the chicken in the pan, and then it says, press down the edges to seal the chicken. I'm like, how the hell am I going to seal? The chicken is not going to seal. This is not like pastry. So one of the two chickens was much more like open as opposed to like
an
closed.
open face
a little
chicken.
bit. It was almost more like tops with it. It was almost like, instead of like folded over like a quesadilla, it was more like a letter L, and just kind of like, here, presenting to you, pear and walnut. But it was very good. I'm looking forward to having the other serving of it. And then it was a HelloFresh dish. I did not conceptualize this on my own, but I kept the recipe card, which is rare. And then I think next week there's like a bacon and goat cheese rigatoni that I got from HelloFresh that I'm very much looking forward to. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you use the term jarlic to talk about jarred garlic? Is that a
yes? It's
okay,
an absolute abomination. It should not exist. It is one of the worst things food related.
I just finished a jar of it, and I have another jar in my pantry that I opened. I normally agree. I prefer like a fresh garlic bulb, and I love like the garlic prep. My garlic press is one of my favorite tools, but HelloFresh, like I should just buy garlic balls because it comes with like not enough garlic for me. Like this dish had like 3 little cloves of garlic. I want garlic. And so I just found that the jarlic, which you spoke so shiningly about last week, is a staple in my refrigerator.
It's a staple in a lot of people's refrigerators, but it is a very specific taste that can easily dominate the taste of a dish. And it's not to my liking, but I think that so many Americans have become used to that flavor that comes in it. That's why it appears in so many like home cooking recipes.
Yeah,
bad TikToks use it all the time.
I do feel I do need to defend myself. I do prefer, again, the fresh garlic and the garlic press. But so I think those are the big things. I'm
not trying to garlic shame you.
Oh, you know what? You didn't try, but you succeeded.
If you like jarlic and Josh Wine, do not listen to this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
And speaking of, I might need to like FaceTime one of you sometime this week and just like walk me through, like help me find a wine. I'll just maybe like my thing is like I'll get like a wine every week. Is that a lot? No. Okay. Haley's like,
No.
oh, pumpkin. You sweet summer child. That is not a lot of water.
It depends. Depends.
Okay. Anyway, that was my food highlights. Jim, did you have any birthday meals? Anything that stood out?
I did have some chicharron. I mean, some pork carnitas last night for my birthday. They were very tasty. They were good. I had some tres leches and some pork. But I will tell you that last week, and we're not serving it this week because the way that the menu is constantly changing at the restaurant. But last week I served a dish that would have fit very well into the hoecake part of this challenge. Is that we were making cornmeal pancakes. I usually don't call them hoecakes, but we were making cornmeal pancakes. We get really great fresh milled corn from a local grist mill, and so we get corn flour and grits. And but I like to take a little bit of a jalapeno pepper, and we make it with buttermilk. So we make that really pretty corn pancake. So then on top of the pancake is that now that we've started to hit spring, we've got green garlic, spring onions, some fresh fennel bulbs, all from local farmers, which are charred really hard in the oven, almost kind of dry, like heavily salted and charred. And also on top of that with black trumpet mushrooms and some oyster mushrooms. And so you get this really charred, oniony, mushroomy, garlicky spring vegetables set right on top of the pancake. And then we braised duck legs with a little bit of a Chinese kind of influence in the braising liquid. So we include a 5-spice and cinnamon, star anise, fennel seeds to give it a little bit of interesting flavor profile to the duck. Braise the duck, that goes on top of the onion mixture, and then we finished it off with some fried sweet potatoes. So really a good version of a of a hoecake kind of dish that we served in the restaurant last week. And we'll probably do a different variation of that dish on the menu next week. Lots of big changes to the menu this week as the chef's breakfast, the collard greens and field peas dish is coming off the menu because the collard green season is finally almost over. That we're going to add some other kind of dishes in its place. And so, yeah, I as soon as I watched the challenge, it's like, boy, literally this dish in the restaurant would have been a great one for the elimination challenge. And those are the kind of things that make me feel good about the dish and Top Chef and working in a restaurant and seeing what's going on, the changing of the seasons and working with local farmers. This episode, the elimination challenge of this episode is really an encapsulation of what I do daily and weekly. Is like you find the cool new farmers, the farmers, they show up at the restaurant, they tell you what they're growing, they ask you what I would like them to grow. And so we work very closely with the local farmers. We get the coolest stuff they have. We put it in the menu on ways that are both familiar to Southerners, but also creative and pushing the envelope a little bit on what they maybe have tried or not tried. And that really is a great, like this episode of Top Chef is really what I do every day. And with the ingredients that I use every day, like when I saw what they had at the farm, it is really like if you go to any farmer's market in Alabama, you'll have sort of a lineup of very similar ingredients. It's the stuff that I see every day and the stuff that I'm proud to work with. So it was a great episode. It was a good week of food for me. I'm excited whenever the seasons start to change in the restaurant because there's so much rotation and creation and coming up with new ideas on the menu. And we're right in the thick of that right now.
What's the average lifespan of a item on your menu? Is it typically seasonal, or because you sounds like you're also like there's sometimes you'll be swapping out like on a weekly basis, or like is there like the set? Not having had the privilege of dining there, is there like the set section of the menu within the seasonal section that rotates? How do you plan that out?
Well, for instance, we have a steak set that basically never changes, and I didn't think it would be one of our like signature dishes, but our hanger steak set is basically the hanger steak set, and it's consistent on the menu throughout the seasons because it's a bacon potato hash, blue cheese butter, red wine gastrique, things that don't require a season. Also, the crab cake dish that we serve, there may be some seasonal changes to what appears on the salad on the dish, but that's pretty much a staple on the menu. Unless crab right now is kind of hard to find just because of the way the weather is and what's going on and can they find the crab. But then the rest of the menu changes a lot. And a lot of it has to do with an evolution of a dish. Like I will put something on the menu that I really like a lot. And then maybe the next week a different piece of produce becomes available. And so a lot of these dishes evolve throughout the season to get to a really good one at the end. And not that not the ones at the beginning weren't excellent as well, but like to get it really like honed in throughout the course of a season, it takes a little bit of experimentation and changing and seeing what's available. And if something's not available, how do you then pivot if you want to keep some version of that dish on the menu? And that stuff happens day to day, week to week. And yeah, so there is consistency, and there are something like, oh yeah, maybe remember last season this time we did this cool dish that people loved, and like, oh, well, now we'll do a newer version, or maybe just bring the exact same thing back. And so yeah, that's how it works. And also with the tasting menu, there's a lot of opportunity for experimentation. And I was thinking about doing the green garlic tasting menu, or I don't know why we're not getting ramps yet, but they should be coming really soon. But like an all ramp tasting menu. And there's a lot of that, but there are some staples that don't change ever, but then the rest of the menu is a constant evolution.
I still need to get down there.
I'm waiting.
Haley,
catch me in 2026 or whatever year's the next election, depending. Ooh, what did I do this week? I went to, there's this like, because we live in a tourist area, there's been a real influx of like hot girl like pop-ups, you know what I mean? Like there's this one restaurant in Niagara Falls called La Favela, where it's just like a hot girl Instagram restaurant, where it's just like hot girls go and take pictures there, and so you just assume the food will be bad. It is shockingly so good there. So I went there this week and did a bunch of apps, because they were everything on their food menu was like $10, so we just got a bunch of apps and shared, and it was excellent. And they do a dessert pizza with like a dulce de leche like sauce, and then they do put mozzarella on it, and like I love cheese on sweet, I guess. Like, it's delicious. Didn't do much cooking this week, I'll tell you that for free. I did remake pizza buns. I made them last week, and they were such a hit with me personally that I remade them. And then went to see Project Hail Mary this weekend. And if I go to the movies, that means I get mall Chinese food after. So I got mall Chinese food, and I love mall Chinese
food. Oh, interesting. See, I saw Scream 7 this weekend, which means I got a huge thing of butter popcorn.
Well, we also got butter popcorn, don't get me wrong. Okay. But it's just like, after leaving the movie, then we get mall Chinese food and eat it at 4 p.m. like we're old. You know what? Project Hail Mary, very good. I really liked it.
We almost want to see it yesterday. I'm definitely gonna. I haven't been to a movie theater since COVID, and I'm definitely gonna see Star Wars or The Mandalorian when it's on the big screen. But this one, it's really, really tempting me to get to a movie theater again.
I loved it. This is not my type of movie. And I'm very much a person, if there's a book, I will read it first. And Ethan, my husband, really wanted to go see this movie. He had read the book, so I read the book this past week, and I was like, I liked the book. I didn't love it. I loved the movie.
Oh.
Like, easily the best movie I've seen this year. Probably like the best. I don't know how to phrase this. It's not often I like the movie better than the book, but this is probably like the best example of me liking the movie better than the book.
It's on my list to see. I did the same thing. I read the book really quickly in advance, expecting to see the movie at some point soon.
It was excellent. I would definitely recommend it. Kurt, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Kurt Clark on Instagram. That's Kurt Clark with 2 C's, one at the beginning and one where, Haley?
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. There you can see the questionable photo of my pear and walnut stuffed chicken, as well as photos of the books I've recently read, including Project Hail Mary. Although today I just finished How to Survive a Horror Story. Anyway, it's okay. Anyway, but that's where you can find most of my action online, is on the Instagrams. Jim, how about you?
Very easy to find online. Please like and follow. It's at Chef Jim Smith on Facebook and Instagram, and at the Hummingbird Way on Instagram. Yeah, check out the stuff for the restaurant. look at my feed. I don't think I posted anything in like a month, so I'm still as bad as usual. But yeah, give us a like and follow, and I'll do my best to post some more.
And you can follow me on Instagram at The Strong Library, where I read and review a lot of books, including, if you can believe this, Project Hail Mary. And a bunch of other stuff. I had a bit of a slow reading month in March, but that's okay. It's not a competition, it's not a contest, so that's it. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. So until next time, pack your knives and go. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.